What's up guys, Earthen Avenger here, and today we're going to be talking about priming and varnishing your Skylander on painting the Skylands. Now I've been getting a lot of questions on, hey, do you prime your Skylanders before you paint them? And hey, once you're done painting your Skylanders, do you seal them with a clear coat and varnish? So we're going to be addressing that today. Now I didn't put primer or sealer in the tools of the trade video because it's not entirely necessary. It's not a necessary step. It really just depends on what you're going for and what you're trying to accomplish. Firstly, we're going to jump into primer. Now, you might be asking yourself, Earthen Avenger, what is primer? Primer is a strong layer of paint that's going to go on your figure that's going to help that acrylic paint that you paint on later stick to that surface. Now, I have not used any primer on any of the customs that I've done so far. Painting directly onto the factory paint that the Skylanders comes with is totally adequate. That factory layer of paint acts as a primer. So you could almost look at it as these Skylanders are coming pre-primed and basically ready to paint out of the box. So primer is not necessary, but there are a few situations where you may want to incorporate primer. Now, primer is going to be a coat that's going to cover the entire figure. So there might be elements of the figure that you don't want to paint. Like I like to leave the eyes on a lot of figures. So priming, it just really just depends on what you're going for. Now, a situation where you might want to prime is like, say, for example, you're going to be painting a dark edition figure that's going to be primarily black. You could use a black primer and that'll cut down on a lot of work because you'll spray the figure black and it'll be completely black and you'll just need to go in to start doing the silver and the other details like that. You could also, if you're going to be painting a Skylander primarily a bright color, you could use a white primer and that'll help those colors be a lot more vibrant and poppy. So if you're going to be using yellows and oranges and stuff like that, it usually works out pretty good. Now what I'm doing is prepping this Dino-Rang figure to be primed. I'm going through and masking off any areas that I don't want to get primer on. So I'm using the painter's tape to cover up all of his base because I want his base to remain the same and not get any primer on it. Once his base is completely masked off, he's ready to be primed. Now, when you're spray priming your figure, make sure you do it outdoors, away from anything that you don't want to get spray paint on, because the spray paint will splatter here and there. So just be aware of that. Now, I like to use the black Citadel primer, the Chaos Black, and you're going to want to stand just about 8 to 10 inches away and just give it a nice coat. Make sure you're getting all the areas, and then you'll want to turn it around, flip it upside down, and just basically try and get a overall clear coat coverage. Not too thick. That should be perfect, just like that. Now let's talk about varnishing, also known as clear coating or sealing. If you want to protect that paint job that you spent so much time putting on your Skylander, you're going to want to hit it with a varnish. Now what a varnish is it's a clear coat that goes on after the paint that kind of seals it in and creates this protective layer. So if you're going to be handling the figure a lot, the oils from your hands can actually damage your paint job. So if you know your figure is going to be being handled quite a bit, you might want to look into putting a clear coat on it, but it is a totally optional step. And I like to try to avoid it when I can because it can kind of pull back some of that vibrancy of the paint and kind of dull out your paint job. So if you can avoid it, I would suggest it. But if you know that the figure is going to be being played with quite a bit and not just kind of put up on the shelf or in the cabinet for display, then a clear coat might be something you want to consider. A clear coat comes in many different forms. There's satin, matte, and high gloss. I suggest a matte. I actually like the matte finish from Krylon because it's a good price and a high quality product. Now here we have the pumpkin eye small from the base coating video. If you haven't seen that video, check out the link in the corner. Now we're going to go ahead and tape up his base so we don't get clear coat all over the skull. Now, because this is going to the SCL shop, we want to make sure we give it a nice varnish because I don't know if it's going to be being handled a lot or played with. Now, just like with the Dino-Rang we primed, we want to take it outside so we don't get the fumes from the aerosol can in our house. So just make sure you're out in a nice clear open area. Put down something like a piece of cardboard so you're not damaging anything, and just stand about 8 to 10 inches away and give it a nice quick once over. Now, not too much. You do not want to make this coat too thick or you could get a milky kind of frosty residue. Also, make sure it's not too cold outside, not too hot, and not too humid. You do not want to get like a milky residue on your figure. And that looks pretty good. And there you have it, guys. We have our clear-coated Varnish Pumpkin Eye Small and our Prime Black Dino Rang. Very simple techniques. Like I said, totally optional, but I had a few questions, so I figured I'd address it and give you guys the know-how on how to do it if you wanted to tackle it yourselves. All that's left to do is remove the painter's tape from the bases of these guys, and they are good to go. Pumpkin Eye Small is going to be getting sent off to the SCL shop, so if you guys are interested, you might be able to get your hands on him. And that Prime Black Dino Rang is going to be in the next Painting the Skylanders video, where I'm going to teach you guys how to paint Dark Edition Skylanders. So stay tuned for that. Before I go, I'd like to share this week's community spotlight. We have an excellent submission from our friend SurvivorCast. SurvivorCast painted up a beautiful Darth snapshot. I love the contrast between the red and the black on this figure. Very reminiscent of Star Wars Darth Maul. And also, the black on the weapon looks incredibly smooth. Great job, SurvivorCast. If you guys aren't following SurvivorCast on YouTube, go check him out. He's very comedic and a very passionate, great kid. To get your Skylander custom featured in one of my videos, follow the directions in the description down below to submit your Skylander, and you just might see it on Painting the Skylands. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like and comment, and if you haven't, please subscribe. I'll catch y'all later. Earthen Avenger, out.